Welcome to another episode of Throwing It Back with Sean Farrell. I am Sean Farrell. God is great all the time. All the time, God is great. Let's not waste no more time. Let's get right to it. Okay. So, I mentioned in the previous video how there was a the Phoenix Suns drug scandal in 1987. Okay. Not only was it a drug scandal, but it was also a gambling scandal as well. Okay. So drugs were involved, gambling was involved. There was a former Suns player by the name of Johnny High. James Edwards was involved in it. William Bedford was involved in it. And somehow, Jack Sikma and Paul Mokeski, who played for the Milwaukee Bucks, they somehow got their names mixed up in this gambling / drug scandal. Okay. So, if you give me a short second to grab my notes, which I forgot to place on this desk right here. Give me a hot minute. All right. Here we go. Cool. Okay. So, Paul Mokeski, Jack Sikma, who played for the Milwaukee Bucks at that time. There was a guy by the name of Jimmy Jordan, okay? He played golf with Mokeski and Sikma. He says he played golf with Paul Mokeski and Jack Sikma, okay? The name was Jimmy Jordan, okay? And as the story goes, it says Jordan bets on their next game, okay? The players were going to keep the score under 222. And what that means is the combined amount of points that the two teams score, okay? The combined point amount that the two teams score, okay? So the Bucks won 115 to 107, okay? Which is 224 points, if I'm not mistaken. I may have that backwards. I may be a wee bit off on that, but and then not only that, the Suns committed 26 turnovers that game too. Okay. Then the manager of the club, where Mokeski and Jack Sikma and this guy were having drinks, okay? He said he gave $100 worth of coke to Paul Mokeski, in which he really denied. And Mokeski actually held a press conference during the Bucks Celtics series, and he actually shed some tears because he knew that these allegations were not true. Okay. So Mokeski denied it. But they didn't deny that they both had a conversation with Jordan before the ball game in Phoenix, but nothing more. So Sikma knew nothing of it. Okay. And the police found no evidence of a fixed game. Okay. And there was no proof that Paul Mokeski and Jack Sikma even hit the links with this Jimmy Jordan guy. Okay. So they were cleared. Unfortunately, Dennis Johnson, who used to play for the Phoenix Suns before he came to Boston after the 1983 season, his name was involved in that drug and gambling scandal. Of course, Dennis Johnson denied it. James Edwards, who I mentioned, his name was mentioned in it. He actually got traded to Detroit midway through the '88 season. Okay, so that may be a reason why they sent James Edwards to Detroit midway through the '88 season, where he won, back-to-back championships, '89, '90. Okay, so I just wanted to touch on Mokeski and Sikma. Also wanted to touch on this. I was watching a NBA Open Court segment, and it was a pretty funny segment where players were some of the legends of the game were discussing when it was time to retire, time to quit. And so Ernie Johnson started out the segment by saying, this panel, he said, we're going to start out this segment by saying this panel that's sitting here has a combined 95 years of experience. This group sitting right here has a combined 95 years of experience in the NBA. And then Isaiah Thomas went and like, Grant. And so then Ernie Johnson said, when did you know that it was over? Grant. So Grant Hill said, for me, it was the year that the Clippers played the Grizzlies in the playoffs. He said, I believe this was around 2014, 2015, somewhere around there. But Grant Hill said, hadn't played 10 games going into the playoffs. Grant Hill said he's all excited, thinking he's going to play in Game 5. Grant Hill says he didn't play, but at the end of the game, his knees hurt. Okay, so when the series is over, which they lost to the Grizzlies in the first round, Grant Hill said, when the series is over, I get an MRI. This shows I have a surface tear of my medial meniscus. So when you hurt yourself in the layup line, it might be time to quit. So Ernie Johnson was like, I want everybody to take a shot at this. He said, Bones, when did it hit you? Bones is the nickname they call Brent Barry. Okay. So he went around to Brent Barry and he said, I was telling Steve Kerr his story. We were playing up in Portland. I played just 1 year in Houston. I signed for 2. Then he went like, that's where all the Barrys get buried. Okay. Rick Barry finished in Houston. John Barry finished in Houston. And now Brent Barry is finishing his career in Houston. Okay. So then he said, the Trailblazers had this kid named for Hernandez, Rudy Hernandez. Came off the bench and he checked in to the game at the same time Brent Barry checked into the game. And Fernandez came off the screen and Brent Barry was like, I could not find him. Okay. And so then Rudy Fernandez was like running around using screens. And so Brent Barry said, so when that happens to you, it might be time to quit. He said, so then they went around to Steve Smith next. So then he said, Steve Smith was like, Jamal Crawford threw it through my legs. And then Kenny Smith went like, oh, it's time to quit. It's time to quit. So then Steve Smith recalled it. He said, so Jamal Crawford's coming down the court. So I put my foot on the baseline thinking he has nowhere to go. And Jamal Crawford threw it through his legs. And he said, and my coach, Bernie Bickerstaff, was looking at me like, it's time. And so they came around to Dennis Scott next. And so then Dennis Scott was like, I'll never forget it. Came out to the training camp with Lakers for the 2001 season. Trying to hold on for dear life. Phil Jackson calls me over and he's like, 3D. He says, you really want to play another year? He says, yeah, coach, I think I got another year left. Why don't you just go on home? And Dennis Scott was like, true story. And Dennis Scott was like, and every time I see Phil Jackson, I thank him to this day because I can still walk around normally. I have no bad injuries. I didn't tear up nothing because he was honest. He says, nah, son, you can't move no more. But I think the funniest one may have come from Isaiah Thomas. Okay. Isaiah Thomas said it was a couple of weeks left in the season and the Pistons were flying to Orlando to play the Magic, okay? And they had like a 10 o'clock shoot around the next day, okay? So Isaiah Thomas went through his normal routine. He got up, made some breakfast, and Isaiah Thomas said he's laying by the pool. And so Isaiah Thomas said he's laying by the pool. He's looking at his watch, timing himself to go to the bus for her to shoot around. He's looking at his watch. He says, like, I don't want to go to practice. I don't want to go to shoot around. And Isaiah Thomas was like, and that was the first time in my life that I never wanted to go to the gym. And it scared me that I didn't want to go to the gym that day. And Isaiah was like, and that's the point when I said, I'm done. Okay. And so then Isaiah said, the last game of the season, they played the Orlando Magic at home. He tore his Achilles the last game of the season because Isaiah Thomas said mentally he had checked out 3 weeks earlier in Orlando. Okay. He said, yeah, but he tore his Achilles because mentally he had checked out 3 weeks earlier. Okay. So then Isaiah was like, I remember coming home telling my wife, it's like, baby, it's over. And so my wife used to get up, she used to cook the pregame meals and everything. So for the next couple of weeks, you know what I had for a pregame meal? A peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And Isaiah Thomas said he didn't even get his last peanut butter and jelly sandwich because Isaiah Thomas said his wife went like, baby, I am retiring too. So his wife was retiring from making his pregame meals for all those years. So then they came around to Kenny Smith, and Kenny was like, when you're a good player, the coach isn't bringing you in to talk to everybody. But as you get older, the coach says, Kenny, we need you to talk to Lindsey Hunter. Kenny, we need you to talk to this guy. Kenny, we need you to talk. Now you become the talk to guy. Okay. And he said, and that's when I decided to call Turner Sports and said, I'm ready to talk for a living. Kenny Smith retired after the 1997 season. Okay. But he also said this. He said, when you're a young player coming into the league and you get on a fast break and you take that picture, you see guys running like this. But as you get older and you get on the fast break and you take that picture and you see guys like this, he said, oh, they think they can catch you. It's time to retire. Okay. And they came around to Steve Kerr. And Steve Kerr said he knew it was time for him to retire when he had, I think he had to take DMSO or something, kind of like a horse drug or something. And Steve Kerr said whenever he took this, he could still play. But when he didn't take it, he couldn't play. Kerr retired with the Spurs in 2003. Okay. So, he had to take some special supplements. So when he took those special supplements, he could still play. When he didn't, he couldn't play. So That's it, and that's all for Throwing It Back with Sean Farrell. I'm Sean Farrell. Jesus Christ is Lord. Peace out. God bless. I'm out of here.